Hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have the After Hours Gaming League Season 4 preseason match between Amazon and Electronic Arts. If you haven't seen game number 1, game number 2, or game number 3, I highly recommend you go ahead and check those out first because they are some awesome games and they're going to be leading up to this one. But if you're still around by this point, I'm going to assume you have, and we're going to go ahead and jump in and introduce the players as we spawn down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Polar Knight on top of the blue Zerg player. He's going to be representing Team Amazon despite the color switch that happened between the previous games and this game. He is representing Team Amazon. His name is Kime. And his opponent spawning up in the top left-hand corner of the map as the red Zerg player representing Team Electronic Arts, also known as EA. He is Electronic Arts' Meva. Yet another random player in our glorious series today. In fact, we've had a total of 3 random players, which is just super duper awesome to see. Random players are amazingly cool. And always a big fan of mine, or I'm always a big fan of theirs. They're not a big fan of mine. But regardless, we are going to be seeing a Zerg versus Zerg on this potentially final game of the series, depending on whether or not Kime can actually come back in this series and win it, and then tie up the I guess the series 2-2. So it's going to be very, very difficult. There's a lot of pressure over here on Amazon's Kime, but Amazon's Kime sending out that early drone scout, making sure there's no early pool shenanigans going on, which is, again, just a sign to show, hey, you don't want to take any risks when your entire team is depending on you to actually win this game, to stay in the series. But in the meanwhile, I mean, Meva is going to be thinking, okay, well, I have a game to try and do my absolute best to take out my opponent through whatever means I want to. And it looks like Meva is saying, okay, hatch first, then spawning pool, and not grabbing any gas geysers still. So kind of interesting. It looks like Meva just saying, I'm going to try and play out that economic opening and just depend on maybe a couple of queens earlier on to defend against any kind of crazy early aggression that could come out. Because you can see, I mean, Gas Geyser has been mining for quite a bit of time over here for Kime. We actually might even see 100 gas already mined for that Zergling speed before Meva even finishes that Gas Geyser. So I'm pretty interested to see how this is going to end up going, because Kime is going to have the ability to be incredibly aggressive, still has not even bothered to grab that natural expansion, and I'm kind of curious whether or not Kime is going to go all out, crazy, one base all in on his opponent, or if he's going to say, okay, well, I'm going to be aggressive, because you have to be aggressive with this kind of opening, all right? If you go for this kind of early Zergling speed and your opponent delays theirs for such a long time, gets up the natural expansion and everything, you have to be aggressive. And you can take an expansion behind that aggression, but we're going to see this is going to be a nice bit of aggression with a Baneling Nest in the mix. Now, the question is whether or not his opponent will be prepared for it, because Zergling speed is actually only about 50 to 40 seconds away from finishing up by this point. Oh no, this Overlord may actually be caught a little bit out of position. Will he be able to get to the safety of one of those ridges in time? I'm not so sure. I think that this Queen might be able to snag a nice free early Overlord kill. Now, you might be thinking, oh, it's just one Overlord, it's 100 minerals, what's the big deal? Well, at this stage in the game, when you're going to be facing a one base all in, that is absolutely huge. We do have 3 Zerglings coming out, another 2 Zerglings following in, the Queen gonna have to back up, and that is a very nice save over there for our red Zerg player. And actually, he gets a surround on the Queen. That was actually very well done. The Queen does end up falling, and wow, Kime has got to be upset with himself for that one. I mean, you try to go for that Overlord. That Overlord got out with just 8 health left, probably actually less. One more hit from that Queen would have been able to kill off. He probably would have gotten supply blocked. But now, I mean, not only do you snag that Queen, so that means that this attack is going to be severely hindered. He doesn't have the ability to inject larva, so he's going to have to make do with a lot less units over here. But he does still have a lot of Zerglings with speed, and he does have a Baneling Nest finished up. He's going to go after that Queen. Going to be able to pick off one of those Queens fairly easily, but the metabolic speed boost of his opponent is going to be finishing up. That defender's advantage is going to be kicking in as well. 3 Banelings being morphed in. This could be what Kime needs, though. If he can actually manage to get some big hits off on maybe some of those drones, maybe he can still make this work out as we end up seeing those Banelings to end up detonating, not getting the best hits in the world. He needs to get some slightly better ones, as he just does not have too many more units left over. A Spine Crawler actually is finished up now, and also made it very, very difficult for Kime to actually reinforce over here. Kime went ahead and started that natural expansion. Bailey's trying to be morphed in. They do get canceled. And at the end of all of that, we do have Kaim only with a 2-draw lead, but at least he bought himself some time to get up that hatchery. Honestly, you may be thinking right now, hey, you know what? Kaim, he got enough time. He made his natural expansion. You know, he did some nice damage, killed off a queen. They're even right now, right? Well, no, not exactly, because the big difference is Kaim invested a lot of his early gas into that, and we can actually see he's going for this lair tech, and the question is, will he actually also be able to defend against this counterattack? Because we see a lot of Zerglings have already been made. The Banelings have to be morphed in over here for Kaim, because right now Miva is just able to be so aggressive with just a small set of units, and you see, okay, well, now Miva is going to be chased back. Yeah, so Kaim is fine. Well, the thing is, but while all that was going on, Miva was just saying, well, I'm just going to make a round of 8 drones, and Kaim is just going to be slightly behind in that sense. But Kaim does have that lair now going to be finishing up, and with that natural expansion finally established, and with the ability to take a couple more gas geysers, he could be going for some pretty nice little lair tech, could be seeing a fast Mutos transition, try and come back in this game. Like, I feel like Kaim is just slightly behind. It's still very doable to come back in this game. ZVZ is a very volatile matchup, but I'm interested to see what Kaim is going to do to try and come back against Miva. You have to remember, Kaim, representing Team Amazon, wants to be able to win this, not necessarily for any points in the actual series, as we do end up seeing, unfortunate Baneling detonating on not a whole lot, but there is a lot of pride on the line. There's a lot of pride at stake to say, you know what, we are a force to be contended with, and now we end up seeing a lot of Zerglings swinging over here from Miva as EA is trying to look to do some damage, but Kaim actually just getting a really solid position over there on that defense, and doesn't really lose a whole lot over there, but does also manage to ward back those Zerglings with just a single Baneling. So a nice little win over there, but Kaim is still down a full 8 drones. The Spire is going to be what he needs to come back and do a lot of damage to his opponent, seize up some of that map control. In the meanwhile, we take a look at Miva. Miva going for that Roach Warren instead, as well as actually getting up another Baneling nest. Now that actually, I think it might be a little bit of a mistake. Miva has been under a lot of pressure in this game, in terms of actual just Zerglings attacking Miva. Of course, Kaim the one that also has to deal with pressure, but it's more of a psychological pressure of knowing that he has to win this game if he wants to keep his team in this series. But regardless, we do end up seeing a nice transition into a bit more of a Roach-based army. I assume Roach, Zergling, Baneling, and actually going to getting out a Hydralisk den to transition into Hydralisk for potentially dealing with not just the Mutalisk transition that could be around. I mean, he doesn't really have any kind of indication that the Mutalists are coming just yet. I mean, he hasn't really seen a whole lot that would indicate it outside of maybe, hey, my opponent has a lot of gas geysers. But regardless, you do want to be prepared for that. And hey, Mutalists and Roaches, if your opponent's not going for any kind of crazy Mutalist switch, they're still great. They're still great to move across the map with. They're relatively mobile, so you can actually kind of dart back in case you get some sort of crazy counterattack. As long as you have a little bit of creep spread, especially with the Hydralisk getting that nice little speed buff and Heart of the Swarm. But I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of potential over here for Miva to start being start being aggressive. Although it does not seem the case, as we end up seeing a lot of the Zerglings from Kaim actually starting to be on the aggressive side right now. Kaim gonna try and maybe save that Overlord that's so close to dying. One more hit, and it does end up falling. A nice little supply block over there, and hey, every little bit helps right now, but we do end up seeing some of those Mutals do get scotted out because we had a Zergling run by over into that main base. Miva saying, you know, I don't need to defend against your Zerglings out on the map. I'm just going to counterattack with my own. Keep yours at home. And hey, now he saw those Mutals. Now he knows. All I have to do is position my Hydralisk in the right position, although he's going very, very far out onto the map right now, trying to take out one of those Overseers and, I mean, trying to supply block his opponent maybe a little bit, but he does have to make sure he keeps a couple of Hydrals at home, or at least gets up maybe one more Spore Caller to cover all the different angles that could be around here, because, you know, a handful, I mean, 4 Mutalists not really going to be able to do a whole lot over here, especially with that one Spore Caller there. But if this does build up a bit more, then it could cause a bit of trouble. But Miva is going to be on the offensive with these roaches, with these hydros. A handful of these spine crawlers are being morphed in, and oh my god, that's actually a lot of banelings for Kime to be making right now. This is actually a lot of the reason why there are not more mutals out on the map right now, because he just invested so much into all those banelings, and now we end up seeing all these banelings charging it over here. They're going to get some pretty good hits off on those hydros, but the roaches just taking so much damage from all of those Zerglings, and with all those being taken out, now the spine crawlers are under fire. GG gets called, and it looks like EA, Electronic Arts, going to win the very first series of the preseason. So congratulations to Team EA on their victory over Team Amazon. And, you know, again, this was a preseason match. It was a lot for guts and glory. So not a whole lot on the line just yet outside of that. But still, it does give us a good showing that there are going to be some great games going on in the Season 4. Now, I do want to remind you guys that if you want to pick a team to root for, you can also consider what charities they actually want to be donating to. The winner of After Hours Gaming League does get to have a donation made to a charity of their choice. Now, Amazon did end up choosing Child's Play, which I'm just reading a little bit about Child's Play. Child's Play is dedicated to improving the lives of children in hospitals around the world through the kindness and generosity of the video game community and the power of play. It's a really great charity. It's actually run by the folks over at Penny Arcade. And of course, Electronic Arts, not to be shown up, is going to also be willing to donate their prize pool winnings to the very great Make-A-Wish Foundation. Make-A-Wish Foundation has been around since the 1980s and has actually done some great stuff. Recently, there was a San Francisco event that they held where a little boy who was a part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation made a wish to be Batman for a day, and San Francisco turned into Gotham City. It was really great. You guys can actually Google a little bit of news about it. It was everywhere. But both of these really great charities. So guys, if you want to root for your teams, check out the charities they are want to donate to. And go ahead and support them, as we're going to be casting a lot more games over here on this channel. So please tune in for that. And congratulations once again to EA on their 3-1 victory in the preseason matches. Tune in next week as we will be starting the actual season. And take care, guys. Have a wonderful time.